Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. We are in the fourth chapter of Esther. And if you remember, last week we left off with a very bad situation going on. There is a decree that went across the land that all the Jewish people must be killed in one day. So this morning we find Mordecai weeping and gnashing his teeth and tearing his clothes and wearing sackcloth, and he's covered in ashes and he's wailing throughout the city. So he's very, very upset. And what we find out is that when somebody's wearing sackcloth, when they are in this state of mind, they are not allowed to go inside of the king's gate. And so we find that he's just on the outside, but he's definitely making a scene to show his distress. And Mordecai's not the only one. It says all the Jews in the area were having this. So what we find is that upon hearing that Mordecai's out there and so upset, Esther also becomes distressed. And we find that there's this interesting word that is not common within the Bible. It's the one of the few times that this particular word, Hebrew word, is used, and it has the possibility of being taken two ways. It either means to dance, or it means to be in so much anguish as that of being in childbirth. So we know that Esther then is just, when our Bible says, like my Bible says, deeply distressed, but it's more than just deeply distressed. She's really feeling this, her pain. So we have this kind of interesting thing that happens where she sends Mordecai clothes. And we're not quite sure what this is. Is it because she wants him to come in and see her? Or we're not quite sure. Like, does she not quite understand the situation that's going on? And what happens is Mordecai refuses these clothes. And so Esther is like, I need to know what's going on. And so what she does is she calls in the help of one of the eunuchs that's in attendance to her. And so this eunuch, Hathach, goes out and speaks to Mordecai. And what we find out is that somehow the people within the palace are in their own bubble. They're oblivious to what has happened, that the king has sent out this edict to kill all the Jewish people. They're kind of like, wait, this is news to us. We didn't know this. And so we kind of go to see that there's this protective bubble, and maybe it's a sense of ignorance that they've placed them in, since life is good for them. They're not aware of the distress of the rest of the country, or maybe information's kept from them, and so anyways, there's this sense that the people in the castle, the servants and everything, didn't know that this was happening. And so Mordecai goes ahead, and now this can slip by us, but it's very interesting because it says Mordecai also gave him a copy of the written decree issued in Susa for their destruction, that he might show it to Esther and explain it to her and charge her to go to the king. There's this kind of sense that they are educated because they're able to read this, and not all people were educated at this level. But Mordecai definitely is able to read because he's able to do it. And then Esther, there's a sense she'd be able to read it, but maybe not fully understand it. And so anyways, but we see that he's given her proof. I'm going to give you proof of what's going on. And so of course, then Esther and Mordecai are having this conversation through this eunuch, that they have to really put a lot of trust in almost a stranger, but not a complete stranger. We have to remember that within this, Esther has now been in her position as queen for about 5 years now. So she's definitely adapted to being in this situation. And so Mordecai has asked Esther, go to the king and ask him what's up with this. Like what needs to happen here. And Esther's response then is like, well, no, you can't go to the king unless he calls on you. And he hasn't called on me for 30 days. And so, like, I just can't do this. I could be killed if this happens. And Mordecai kind of turns the tables a little bit and he goes, well, honey buddy, if he finds out that you're Jewish, your neck is on the line anyways. It's kind of like not quite a threat, but almost kind of like you need to remember who you are. You're one of us. And then Mordecai does this other little interesting thing. And he goes, "What if? What if God put you in this position because God knew that this was going to come up and you could do something about it?" So Mordecai, so there's kind of like this little bit of kind of like, don't forget who you are, sweetie pie. But then let's take a moment and consider that you're here. You are the queen right now, and you can do something about this. Like maybe you were supposed to be here for a reason. And so, and here's the kind of interesting thing. Mordecai has been the one that's given her instructions her whole life, and she has obeyed. She has done what he has said. She has gotten herself. And now we kind of see this little shift in Esther. And it's like she finally takes on her power as queen. And instead of doing what Mordecai says, like just go to the king and talk to him, she goes, this is what's going to happen. You and all the Jewish people in the area and myself and all of the maids with me and those who attend me, we're going to fast for 3 days. And we're going to kind of take a moment to take a break and consider what is our next move. But everybody, I want you to gather everybody, and you guys are going to fast, and we're in the palace, we're going to fast. And that's kind of where it ends. This chapter ends with Esther taking on her role as queen and now giving orders to Mordecai and to all the Jewish people and expecting them to obey. Just as she has obeyed in the past, she now expects that to happen. And evidently, she has quite a bit of power because she also believes that everybody in the castle is going to obey her in the palace. And so we kind of see this. We see Esther really growing and blooming all the way in this chapter. First, she's scared. No, I don't want to go there. I don't want to die. And then she goes, okay, I'm definitely gonna do what I can to save the people, but let's not be too rash about it. She's got a good head on her shoulders, so to speak. And so I think that's important. Where in life right now, where are there some big decisions that maybe need to be made or changes in your life? And the way to do it is to pause but pause not from thinking of it, but pause from reacting to it or making a decision, but putting your full focus on it for 3 days. And fasting is so that you can fully focus on this one issue. It's not so you get a break from the issue. It's like you're going to completely notice and focus on this, and then in 3 days make a decision, but no decision within this time. So where in your life do you need to take that time to really think about the whole picture before you make a decision in your life? And so gives you something to think about this morning. And we're going to see that Esther's sense of fasting is going to come in quite contrast as to what happens tomorrow. So thanks for joining me, Pastor Amanda, with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day.